We've just released Meteor 050 featuring the Meteor account system. Let's take a look at how easy it is to build secure web applications with Meteor.
Our demo today is a real-time party posting app. Here's the code we'll start with. We've got a few dozen lines of HTML and just over a page of JavaScript. Actually, almost all of this code is just the drawing code for plotting parties on the map using the D3 graphics library.
Okay, here's the app. We haven't created an Add Party button yet, so let's add some parties from the console. Since we're using MongoDB for this application, I can just use Mongo's insert command. Things to notice. The map is bound to the database, so when I insert a new party, it automatically appears on the map. I didn't have to write any code to do that. Furthermore, the new parties are reflected in every browser tab anywhere in the world that happens to be looking at this map. Meteor is finding all the tabs that need the new data and pushing it down to them automatically.
It's really convenient to be able to use the Mongo API in the client like this. But what about security? Can't I just change the title of any party anywhere in the system? For example, this party. Since I haven't written any security rules yet, anyone can change its title.
That's probably something that we need to fix. The first step is to remove the insecure package. What this does is, it changes Meteor's default behavior if you don't specify any security rules. In a new project, Meteor's behavior starts out as permit all. But by removing the insecure package, you change it to deny all. Now we'll have to write an explicit security rule for each database operation we want to permit from the client. Let's make sure that's working. Access denied. We haven't permitted anything, so the client isn't allowed to write to the database.
Great, so to get started securing this application, the first thing we're going to need is a user account system. Well, Meteor's got us covered. The Accounts Password Smart package has a state-of-the-art password-based account system that we can drop right into our project. And Meteor also has an Accounts UI Smart package that provides standard forms for routine tasks like logging in and resetting passwords. So we don't even have to write any HTML or CSS if we don't want to.
All we have to tell Meteor is where we want the login button to be, and the Smart package will do the rest. Here are the divs we need to put it in the upper right-hand corner. Our app now has an account system. We can create an account, change our password, oops, too short, and even recover our password if we forget it.
Now that we've got a user account system, we're able to set up our security rules. As a starting point, let's say that each party has an owner and that only a party's owner is allowed to change it. To set this up, we'll use meteor.allow. A meteor.allow rule lets you grant a client the ability to perform a certain database operation. We'll put this and the rest of our model code in a separate file called model.js. For our first rule, we'll let anyone create a party, but only if they're logged in and only if they set themselves as the owner of the party. Next, we'll give the owner of a party the ability to directly change 4 of its fields: title, description, and its XY coordinates on the map. And for now, let's just say that nobody can delete parties. Since anything not explicitly allowed is forbidden, I don't actually need to write this, but it's nice to be clear.
Before we can try it out, I need to reset the database and recreate all of those events we made before, this time with an owner attribute set on each one. While I'm at it, I'll log in my other browser as a different user, and I'll have that user create some parties too. Now we can see it work. I'll select Savage Lounging. I know this was created by Matt, the account on the left. When Matt tries to change it, it works, since he's the owner. But when Jeff tries to change it, nothing happens, since he's not the owner.
What's really cool is I'm still allowed to use the full Mongo API. For example, I can increment the X attribute to move the party to the right. Now, what do you think will happen if I try to do that to all the parties, not just one? Access denied, of course, because my query would change some parties that I don't own. And you can actually see how the client starts to move the circles, but then has to put them back when it gets denied by the server. But suppose I try to limit it to just parties that I own. Even though this is a complex query, it doesn't violate the rules I set up, so it works fine.
When Meteor.allow rules aren't appropriate, you've got another option, methods. Methods are secure procedures that the client can call on the server. Let's add the ability to RSVP for events by calling a method called RSVP. The code for the RSVP feature has a few components: the method code, which goes in our model file, the code to call the method, which goes in an event handler, an HTML template, and a few lines of JavaScript to feed that template.
Here it is, and while we were at it, we put the number of confirmed guests in the circles on the map. The RSVP data lives in an RSVP property on the parties, but I can't write to it from the client. Instead, if I want to change my RSVP, I have to use meteor.call to call the RSVP method. It's up to the method to do any permissions checking. For example, the method won't let me RSVP twice. It just edits my existing RSVP.
Okay, next up is privacy. Right now, this app has no privacy. Every user can see all the parties in the system on their screen. Likewise, I can get at them from the console with database queries. Let's start by adding a public flag on parties. If a party is public, we'll let anyone see it. But if it's private, only the owner can see it. First, we need to remove the auto-publish package. Auto-publish is included in new projects by default. It automatically pushes a full copy of the database down to each client. It's great for getting started, but now the time has come when we need to take control and write our own publish rules.
We've removed auto-publish, so we're not getting any data, and that's why the screen went blank. To fix that, we'll use the meteor.publish call to publish to each client just the set of parties that it's supposed to see. Here's the publish command. And then on the client, we need to add a corresponding subscribe command. And we'll also add public to the list of write aloud fields in our meteor.allow call.
The parties started out private, so each user only sees their own. Let's mark some of them as public. They're color-coded, blue for public and red for private. If I log out, I can only see the public parties. When I log back in, my private parties reappear.
Next, let's add a sharing feature. We'll let you invite friends to your private parties. And when you invite them, the party will instantly appear on their map, and they'll also get an email notification. So there's nothing new here, it's just a combination of things we've already learned. It's a pretty major feature, but we can get it up and running in just a few minutes. First, we'll add an invite method that you can call to invite someone. The reason this is a better choice than meteor.allow is because we want to trigger an email whenever an invitation is sent. And here's the HTML for the feature. Now a little JavaScript that feeds data into the template. And finally, the most important part, the active ingredient, letting people see the parties they've been invited to. Isn't it cool that this is just a one-line change? And that's pretty much it for the invite feature. I call the invite method with meteor.call, and the party appears on my friend's map, and he can RSVP.
There's only one thing left. Users really shouldn't have to open the console to post a party or send an invitation, so let's add dialog boxes for those features. We're not going to show the code, but it's about 100 lines in total. That's enough to get us modal dialogues with some basic validation. Alright, time to deploy.
Wait, one other thing. I hope I didn't forget to tell you that the requirements for this project include Facebook and Twitter login support. You can add those features instantly and for free, can't you?
With Meteor you can. Not to mention Google accounts, GitHub, and others. Just drop in the appropriate smart packages. Now we can deploy it. And now when we open it for the first time, we're prompted for our Facebook credentials. We're even given step-by-step instructions for how to get them. Hey look, it even knows your name.
And when someone invites me on the site, I get an email. Meteor Deploy has auto-provisioned some email service for us, so email sending works instantly with no effort. So let's review. Here's the complete code for the app we built. It's well under 500 lines of pure JavaScript, including both the client and the server and everything you need to deploy it. And here's all the HTML and CSS, even shorter. If you know your Meteor, you should be able to put together apps like this in a matter of hours. Meteor is free and open source under the MIT license. We've worked very hard on it, and we can't wait to see what you build. I hope you'll get on the mailing list and that we'll see you soon.